Well, we have some breaking news coming from the Middle East, specifically in Iran, as we've now had multiple explosions in Tehran. There's a power outage in several cities across the country, and the Islamic Republic of Iran continue to threaten the United States when it comes to the upcoming negotiations. They are still saying that we may pull out over the next 2-3 days. It's all completely childish at this point. We're going to give you guys the latest update. A number of videos coming in from Iran as well. Protests have resumed again in smaller parts. Of course, these are the guerrilla campaigns that we are seeing by the Iranian people in the dark as they continue their uprising. We're going to get your reaction. Firstly, thank you so much for all the support and love. We are now very close to 1,400,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. Now, first things first, we had a couple of mysterious earthquakes happening, all right next to sensitive government and military bases. This time in Tabriz, technically 79 kilometers to the west of the city. The magnitude was 4.3, local time 10:31 p.m. Then we started getting updates about another earthquake, which I'll get to in a second. But we have now power outage in several major cities from Tehran, Esfahan, Mashhad, Shiraz, and Tabriz. The claim by the Islamic Republic state media is that this could be a possible cyber attack. They don't want to obviously take any responsibility, but we don't exactly know what is causing the power outage, because over the last few months, over the last year or so, we've already had major problems, just naturally speaking, when it comes to the infrastructure of Iran. But something might be happening when it comes to sabotage. The Americans did talk about one of the options on the table weeks ago being, before any potential airstrike or attack, we might start seeing some cyber attacks. Now, this doesn't really guarantee that this were the Americans. It could just be the anti-IRGC Iranian activists, or it could just be the whole infrastructure of the system is falling apart anyway. That's why we are seeing power outage again across the country. We're also getting unconfirmed reports of the second earthquake, this time in Ahvaz, in the southern part of the country, southwest. I'm just going to get more confirmation on this, more details before obviously giving you guys all the information about it. But as I said, the protests have also resumed in smaller parts. People are trying their best to, again, we have a video I'm going to show you in a second, the burning the posters of the IRGC again as usual, and banners. First things first, I'm going to show you this situation with Tehran, the capital. Yet another explosion in Tehran south. Smoke being seen in the sky, following a round of fire. Fire trucks are obviously on their way. This was about an hour ago. Given the date.
آتش نشانی به سمت جایی که دود بلند شده بود. محله تهران سر.
So I just gave the date and said that this is Tehran South, and there was another guy saying they're hitting. Then there's no evidence of anybody hitting yet, and then he said fire trucks, firefighters are on their way to contain the fire. So then we started getting more updates. A reporter for Monitor, which is an Iranian media outlet outside of Iran. This is for the diaspora, basically, the anti-Islamic Republic media. This reporter sent a video from the capital saying apparently they are shooting, people are honking their horns, the protests have started again. But there seems to be a bit of a confusion in terms of the gunfire that's been heard. We don't know if this was the air defense drill or actual gunfire.
اعتراضات شروع شده، تیراندازی دارن میکنن، مردم دارن بوق میزنن، نمیدونم جلو چه اتفاقی افتاده، یه عالمه تیراندازی شد.
Saying they were shooting at people were honking their horns, we don't know what's going on.
صدای داد بود. آره صدای داد منم
When
شنیدم.
people were
داره تیراندازی
screaming.
میشه. نمیدونم چی شد.
Yeah, she doesn't know exactly what happened,
ولی میدونم اعتراضات شروع شده.
but she heard people's screaming and chanting, and of course, something that sounded like gunfire. Now, again, we don't have the confirmation. This is the reporter for Manoto, but it could have been the air defense drills being activated again. We'll find out. Meanwhile, protesters, the anti-IRGC Iranians continue their protests. They're setting fire to the Islamic Republic banner while chanting, "Long live the king." This is in Yazd today, 3rd of February.
بزن جاویدشاه جاویدشاه جاویدشاه
Here we go. Yeah, the resistance is still pretty much alive in Iran. Apparently somebody's spamming. Who is spamming? Someone called Jesus is copy and pasting. If you copy and paste, you know what's going to happen to you? Oh yeah, is that the guy who's saying Jesus? Wait, where's the rest of it then? I'm trying to figure out if they're actually copy and pasting or not. I did see one comment mentioning Jesus for some reason, but maybe they were just shocked. Doing blasphemy. Jesus! Now, that aside, let me just quickly give you guys the information about... 1 second. There we go. The information about the security inside the Islamic Republic. The IRGC security channels associated with the regime themselves are publishing footage of allegedly a test flight of the new attack helicopters that are received by Russia, from Russia. They are made in Russia, obviously, the Mi-28NE attack helicopters. They are saying that the Islamic Republic have now received these attack helicopters from Russia, and they've arrived today. The video that we showed you guys, the beginning of this one, this is from today, showing the Russian helicopters being flown in Iran. Now, one thing is clear. There's been a lot of equipment that's been sent by both China and Russia. Unofficially, both sides have essentially sent a message to the Americans saying that if we ever send anything, it's going to be the defense capabilities, nothing in terms of offensive weapons. But I mean, attack helicopter is a bit of a gray area. I mean, it's got the word attack in the name, but you can use the helicopter for different things as well. So I think they might try to say, well, Iran was just buying things from us. It's not really a good look, especially as the negotiations over the Ukraine war is also a little bit tense as usual. But we'll figure out what the reaction is going to be from the White House on this bit of a juicy scandal in terms of the relationship between Russia and the Islamic Republic. Meanwhile, the Iranians in the United States, they continue their protests just like the Iranian diaspora across the world. And just to show you the level of the difference between the pro-Palestinian side and the Iranian side. Of course, the Iranians across the world, they have integrated in the societies, they contribute to the countries that are hosting them, they're paying their taxes. Let's go to this girl who is in America talking about what they're doing.
Okay.
What are you doing here?
Protesting. Look what the difference between free Palestine, whatever that is, and free Iran is.
Woo!
Police. We love the police.
We love the police.
We love security. We love America. We love Iran. We hate Islam and we hate terrorists.
Yes.
And we don't know what Palestine is because it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
My favorite line was at the end. We don't know what Palestine is because it doesn't exist. It's not even real. What is the point of this? In the White House, journalists and reporters once again asked stupid questions from the president over the last few minutes, repetitive questions. Of course, they're going to get repetitive answers from President Trump on the issue of the nuclear talks and negotiations. Let's quickly go to the White House.
Where will they be, and what do you need to hear from Iran?
Rollover, but they are negotiating. They'd like to do something, and we'll see if something is going to be done. They had a chance to do something a while ago, and it didn't work out, and we did Midnight Hammer. I don't think they want that happening again, but they would like to negotiate. We are negotiating with them right now, yes.
Mr. President. Where will the meeting be? It seems like
I
it's
can't tell
changing.
you that.
Mr. President.
There's more than one meeting. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, how is
So, firstly, on the issue of where will the meeting be, and he said, I can't tell you that. He had to then add, there will be more than one meeting. That's primarily because the Islamic Republic are trying to drag everybody all the way from Turkey to Oman. And on the issue of the way the president repeats the same thing, this is the usual tactic again, because on the one hand, he's trying to sound vague, just like back in June, saying, yeah, we were talking, but if they don't do it, if they don't do what I tell them to do, bad things will happen. Meanwhile, they are briefing the media indirectly, the White House, that, yeah, we're not really interested in doing any strikes on the Islamic Republic. So that is the messaging that is going to the Islamic Republic to drag them to the negotiation table. So that is quite, it's a carrot and sticks, but it's in a more obvious way. But the thing is, this could be seen as double bluff or triple bluff. The IRGC don't know how to deal with Trump. It's so unpredictable that even if you think he's unpredictable, he's still unpredictable. It's very difficult to read him. He's still keeping all his cards close to his chest. But the Islamic Republic need to understand that you are being trapped again. Their own parliamentarians, as we showed you, their own MPs, they know this. They've been talking about this, as I showed you in the video, in the previous live stream. They said to the government, to their own government, why are you falling for this? And I also explained that the issue of the nuclear stuff, that wasn't really a big deal anymore 2 months ago. Until now, suddenly. 2 months ago, President Trump was still repeating the same line. Oh, we destroyed their nuclear program. Doesn't exist anymore. They are no longer a threat. Uprising happens. President Trump wanted to attack. Then he had to change his mind because they were not ready. It was just going to be a couple of airstrikes, not really good enough in order to defeat the IRGC. Suddenly, he said, nuclear. Yeah, let's negotiate over nuclear. Oh, so suddenly nuclear is an issue. So this is just a distraction. It doesn't matter. As I've been repeatedly saying over the last couple of days, these negotiations are pointless, meaningless. Let them talk. Even if they sign a deal over nuclear, let them do it. Doesn't change anything. Because at the end of the day, afterwards, the enemies of the Islamic Republic, so Israel and the US, will still go back to them saying, oh yeah, so by the way, we got the nuclear deal. You've still been a bit of a dictator. The Islamic Republic should not fall for this trap. But they are idiots, so they are falling for this trap. Did they not realize that nobody was talking about nuclear and suddenly President Trump wants to talk about that issue? If this were negotiations over saving the Islamic Republic, then that will be worrying. Absolutely. Because that's exactly what basically Barack Obama did. Because it wasn't just about nuclear, it was also about giving money to the IRGC. Joe Biden did the same thing. So there's a whole difference between what these negotiations are, and because of their nature, let them talk. Firstly, even the start of negotiations might not even happen because we now have the Islamic Republic still sending mixed signals, which is hilarious because I think they think they're doing what Trump is doing. The IRGC now continue to say over the last 6 hours that we may still withdraw from the negotiations with the United States. Now, there is a lot of pressure from inside the regime to actually do it. So it's not necessarily a bluff or a threat. There is the radical faction close to Khamenei who don't want to do it because they know it's a waste of time. They know they're going to get trapped. But on the other hand, they need to buy some time so the negotiations could still happen on Friday anyway. But at the same time, it doesn't matter. Let them talk. Let them even sign a deal. Doesn't change anything. These negotiations are irrelevant. They're not even about the real problem. They're not even about the survival or the existence of the Islamic Republic. Let them talk. Nothing will change. And of course, this will simply just give more ammunition to both the Americans and the Israelis to then say, when the whole thing falls apart, because they're not going to sign the deal, to then say, oh, suddenly we believe that the IRGC is a threat again, so we're going to have to go hit them. It's a perfect excuse. The Americans continue to say, we are not moving away from our 4 demands, the red lines. No nuclear, no ballistic missiles, end to the proxies like Hezbollah and Houthis and Hamas, and not going to happen, and also stop oppressing your people. That last one alone is not going to be on the table. The IRGC are not going to say yes to that. They're not going to introduce democracy and freedom in Iran. It's just going to defeat the whole purpose. So I don't know why they're even bothering. Apart from the fact that, as I said, they think they are buying time. Fine, buy some time. Move your dangerous offensive weapons. Prepare your defensive capabilities. At the end of the day, that's still not going to save the regime, because the regime is already falling apart anyway from within. With or without a war, the regime is falling. There are rumors that Khamenei has fled to Moscow. Is that true? No, absolutely not. He will not leave Iran. Reports that say the USS George H.W. Bush supercarrier has left Norfolk Naval Base about an hour ago. No, that was 6 hours ago, and we reported it first on Tousi TV. Yeah, not an hour ago. That was ages ago, as we mentioned earlier. YouTube is a dirty, rotten piece of garbage. Good to know. All leftists are traitors and terrorists. Not all of them, but some. Why are we seeing so many Russian military planes around the Middle East in the last few days? For the obvious reasons, because the Russian expansionists obviously are not going to allow Moscow to lose complete influence. They've been building the empire over the last couple of decades. They've already lost Syria. That's been embarrassing for the Russians. They've also lost parts of Central Africa. China also lost parts of Central Africa. It's been embarrassing for both of them. And even though the Americans, they have their bases in the allied countries, the Persian Gulf Arab countries, but the American influence has also been withdrawn anyway from Afghanistan and Syria, mostly. They were in parts of Syria. But at the same time, that vacuum was filled by Russia and China, but they're also being pushed out. And once Iran is free, then Russia and China are going to find it very difficult to expand their empires against the American empire. So it's going to be fascinating, the effects of the fall of the regime in Iran when it comes to geopolitics, because it's not really just about Iran, it's not really just about the Middle East either. Is Trump deploying an beach assault landing ships as the Gulf? They haven't told me. They don't really share that information with me, unfortunately. But we haven't received any information on that publicly either, paratroopers or anything like that. But we do know that they've been still deploying more personnel, as well as equipment and fighter jets, but mostly defense capabilities. So the air defense systems and everything else, mostly towards the Mediterranean side to protect Israel. It's clear that the IRGC is laughably weak. Unfortunately, the idiots, weaklings have the weapons. This whole thing is painful to watch. The thing is, what makes nothing makes the IRGC dangerous. They're not dangerous in that sense. They are a threat, but they're not effective as an enemy, but directly speaking. But what makes this fight tricky is the country, which is Iran. The land itself makes it very tricky. It's a huge land with lots of different types of land. You got mountains, we got this, we got that. They got a lot of underground bunkers and tunnel networks and everything else. It makes it tricky in terms of wiping them out and dragging them out. If this were a small country, tiny area, you could just go bomb the place and just target the IRGC and that's it. It doesn't really work that way when it comes to Iran. And while you're trying to find them, they can still basically launch missiles, launch drones, or whatever else they have. So they will be destructive and they will still cause damage. They won't win. You can't defeat the American empire. It's impossible. But they can still cause enough damage, especially to Israel and to the Iranian people and to the US bases. Not to a point, as I say, not to a point where they will be victorious, but just enough to cause enough damage. It makes it a little bit annoying. Retired US Army senior officer. The explosions of bombs set by Iranians, trade by Mossad, CIA, and US. Yeah, so there's no guarantee, but we do know, there's no evidence, but we do know that Mossad operatives and CIA operatives have been helping the Iranians over the last year or so. I mean, the last few years, but especially the last year. especially since the October 7th. And we also do know that the network of the anti-IRGC Iranians organically have also become strong enough anyway. But it's unlikely that all explosions are that, because the explosion at the shopping center, the shopping complex that we had, it makes no sense why the Iranians would do it and would target that, because about 200-300 businesses and shops were burned down. They tend to target the regime sites, and but at the same time, this could be an inside job by the regime in general. Bring up the helicopter picture again. It has the flat tire. Love you, Maya, from Houston, Texas. Did it? Should we bring it up? Was it just one of the images? Hang on. Also, it will be helpful to get rid of Ali Khamenei's face. It's not the best face, is it? Hang on, let's quickly go back to the Russian attack helicopter. Which image? Hang on. You think you mean that one? Priorities to have a look at that image. Anyway, unless there's another one. Hang on. I think you just mean that one. Yeah, I think you're talking about that one. Flat tire. Anyway, drone attempt on carrier. War has begun. Yeah, that was 5 hours ago. As we reported, there are more Iranians dead than Israel killed Gaza. Gaza and civilians. You mean Hamas? Hamas and civilians. IRGC targeted them. Yes. So, in terms of the number of people getting killed at the same time, it's been the most astonishingly evil effort by the Islamic Republic compared to any other regime, any other conflict, in terms of the 48-hour space of time that we had. But we still don't know the exact number, and it could still be much higher than what we think. Should USA go full send? But the only way is they do need to first, they have to be different waves of attacks. So cyber attacks are a good start. Then you need to paralyze the bases and the leadership, wipe out the leadership, destroy the bases, target all the missile launchers and the air defense systems, then continue. So what was happening during the 12-day war, but just continue. And then you're going to have to send some special forces in to target individuals, specific individuals, whether it's a supreme leader or people close to him, to either extract them or to eliminate them. But that part of the mission is more complicated compared to just doing airstrikes. Thank you, Tousi TV, for the truth. I hope everyone can stay safe at this time. Javid Shah, I hope so too. Thank you, Robert. What is there speculated to be in these defensive deliveries? Modern air weapons are the only effective defense. The anti-aircraft, I mean, they're not going to clarify exactly what it is, because the Islamic Republic have also been going around claiming that they have some secret weapons. I mean, they might, but we've also seen their public weapons. They're not the best. So, but wouldn't that be seen almost direct attack on the US? Yes. So that's why Russia already publicly withdrew their support, saying we're not going to directly help the Islamic Republic fight Americans, because that's a bit of a warm war between Russia and the United States. My fear is that they gave the demand list with all these requests so they can eventually settle on some of the points. For example, stopping uranium enrichment, and both sides will claim they won. Yeah, and I hope they do it. Negotiate and sign the nuclear deal. Do it. I would love it, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. It's just a nuclear deal. It doesn't mean anything. Firstly, the Islamic Republic, if they want to continue enriching uranium secretly, like before, they can do it anyway. And yeah, both sides could say we won. Doesn't change the fact that the Islamic Republic is still falling. Doesn't change the fact that people in Iran still want them dead. Doesn't change the fact that the Israelis still want to destroy them. The nuclear deal is meaningless. Let them do it. Let them talk. How long can the Iranian people hold on waiting for Trump? Well, they've been waiting for 47 years. It is a million times worse over there now. They need help yesterday. Yeah, on an emotional level, yeah, and obviously on a more kind of illogical and irrational way, and we're all humans, we have emotions, then yeah, they needed help 47 years ago. They needed help after the 2 days that we had the massacres, obviously. But that's not really how geopolitics works. So the reality of the situation is people in Iran, they've been dealing with a lot of bad things over the last few decades, but over the last month it's been much worse. There's a lot of depression around, but there's also a lot of fire. There's a lot of people who are ready to come back out on the streets. But they also know that the regime is falling. They can see what's going on the ground. It's not like China in 1989, 1990, where they massacred people who were against communism, and then they basically became stronger. That's not really what's going on in Iran anymore. You don't really have that scenario where the regime is winning and they just killed a lot of people and now they're strong and they're going to be oppressing people for the next 50 years. It's gone. It's over. This is the end. So people in Iran, everyone I'm speaking to, obviously everybody knows someone who's been dead or kidnapped, but they also know that this is the end. Thank you, stay safe. I'm not Iranian, but march with protesters here in Sydney. Palestinians threatened us and when regime jersey making noise. Yeah, same in London. Australia and the UK, similarities. Did you see the 2 drones creating symbol message on the flight radar? Yeah, yesterday. There was this thing, I don't know. It did look a bit dodgy. So basically, the American drones were flying around, and then the route, it basically spelled in Persian attack, and I don't know. It wasn't quite clear, but it could have been. They might have just been trolling the IRGC as usual. Hi, what will be plan B if the US negotiates with some oil deal with the regime? My fear is that that can happen. Great job on coverage, praying for Iranians. Yeah, I think the Islamic Republic, the thing is, some of the so-called moderates and reformists might offer an oil deal. The fundamentalist, Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader, and his side will have a complete meltdown. But if they try to, that will be a problem. If there is any oil involved in the deal, then yes, that could save the regime. If it's just about nuclear and ballistic missiles, doesn't really matter. But if it means that the Islamic Republic could make money, then yes, that will be bad and that could save the regime. And there are some elements in the Islamic Republic who would, in a desperate way, try to offer that, some sort of oil access to the Americans, but that would completely undermine the existence of the Islamic Republic since 1979. Giving a tiny bit of oil directly to America will destroy the legacy of Khamenei and Khomeini and everybody. The whole point of the Islamic occupation and the paramilitary coup in 79 was to completely cut the Americans off when it comes to oil access. So if they want to do that, while on paper it looks bad, that, oh, they're going to make money, they might survive, it could also destroy them from within by their own people. So whatever's going on is a lose-lose for the IRGC anyway, in the long run, medium term, basically. I've been sitting here waiting for you to join the friendly match in eFootball for a week. What are you waiting for, mate? Send the message. You can send the message and I will reply on PlayStation. So yeah, if you're already friends, send me a message. Also, add me if you haven't. I will destroy you on eFootball. And change Aryan for Pahlavi. I just realized, saw the rest of the message. Israeli Persians infiltrated and are helping Iran. What about the rest of the Iranians? They don't exist, just the Persians. If Chinese and Russian hardware doesn't perform well in Iran, it's going to be embarrassing for them. No, well, it hasn't also performed in Ukraine, so I'm not really concerned about anything that's been sent by Russia and China in general. If you haven't already mentioned it, how is the food and water situation? Everything is very expensive. And a lot of people are just doing things basically DIY. And my own dad, basically just they make bread at home instead of buying bread. So it's not the best situation. Inflation is absolutely out of control anyway. But also in terms of shortage, even if you try to save some money to buy chicken, depending on where you live, it will be difficult to get things, because inflation and the energy crisis and everything else is affecting everybody, including farmers. And if farmers can't work, supermarkets can't work, people can't eat, and nobody can work. And right now there's a bit of a complete limbo in terms of the economy and society in general. And that's why they know that this is the point of no return. They just have to basically keep taking it, because it's also affecting the regime in general. Everybody is suffering, including the IRGC. Terry Evans, tell my country to do something. My country, the UK, supports the IRGC. Keir Starmer considers Ali Khamenei a close friend. That last bit is not true, but yes, the UK continues to support the Islamic Republic. But Starmer doesn't consider Khamenei as a close friend. They haven't met actually before in life, even on the Epstein Island. So someone needs to tell Trump it's time to fish or cut bait. It's past time to rumble. Oh, this is just the beginning, guys. It's just the beginning. I put money on things going down in Feb. Kind of weird going to sleep hoping to be woken up by a siren. Good night from Israel. But again, the main crisis is the fact that, and we've showed you some of the people from the regime. Some of them have already defected anyway. We also had another one, another diplomat who defected earlier today from, I want to say Austria. Was it Austria or Netherlands? Austria. And but the messages from the IRGC Basij members were, they're also not paying us. We don't have money to pay our rent. We don't have money to eat food. And the one thing that the Islamic Republic had for about 46 years was the strength to feed their own members, to pay them a lot of money. Even if they die, they will basically pay their families for life, because you're a martyr. And there's no money left. Even their own members are running out. The Hezbollah wing of the IRGC in Lebanon, they're also not receiving money anymore. They have to be self-sufficient, which is not really a good idea, because they don't really have the highest IQ, Hezbollah of Lebanon, to even try to find a way to make money. And the Houthis, you know, they're still using fax machines, so you can't really expect them to be pioneers. So it's a bit of a difficult time for the IRGC, and my thoughts and prayers go out. Do you think that the murderers of the protesters will face trial? At this point, no, because they will be dead. They will be a little bit too dead to stand trial. Anything that the Russians gave them can't be that good, as they are being slammed in the war with Ukraine. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest problems. That you remember what happened to all the tanks, the Russian tanks. It was embarrassing. And then they started getting drones from Iran, the Shahed drones, who kept malfunctioning. And like, hit the target. No, it's going to hit the ground instead. Stop getting drones from Iran. What are you thinking, Putin? But both sides tried to give each other nonsensical equipment, both the Islamic Republic and Russia. I'm not really sure why that's still happening. Come on, guys. Be better as allies. Anyway, we'll keep you guys posted. We're trying to get more information about the reaction from the Islamic Republic on these Friday talks, because they're still trying to drag them to Oman or withdraw. They're going to have to talk anyway. They have no other option. Subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 1,400,000 subscribers. I'm Tousi, and we are the media.